Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint this gorgeous painting sisterhood. I'm really excited to show you guys how you can create this for yourselves. If you check the description below, you're going to see a link to our website, and that's something I really want you guys to check out because there are free step-by-steps, a very important graph to help you sketch this in, Traceable if you're not ready to use that tool, and extra information, including the original photo reference that I use, which of course, if you saw that, you know I totally Sherpa'd it up. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey guys.
He tracks us with one of our 5 cameras, and that's so that you can see every part of the action. You're going to also notice butterflies that say moderator red, moderator white, moderator viridian. They will have different colors and they'll have little butterflies. They're also here to help you. So if there's a link you're looking for, if you have a question that has a video answer, they're going to be helping you find that. And just making sure that in general we're aware of your questions, because the idea is with these is that you can paint them at home. For those of you that are wondering if I'm okay from yesterday, yes I am. I'm doing fine. We have shook down the studio, and unless it's like a super spider, it should be on its own. It should be gone now, so we should be good. Today's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to actually break this up a bit because, and here's what it is. While it is good for me, a YouTuber, to have this into one chunk video, and that's good for me, on this one, I don't believe it's the best thing for you at home for your success. So John's going to give me a shout out at about around an hour, and we're going to then get to this one midway point. Then I'm going to let you guys catch up, get through there. We're going to meet again on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll make sure all those things are in the links above. That way you guys get the best possible results because I have read your emails, I have read your messages, and I understand that this particular painting is super important to everybody. So we're gonna get deep into it. Ready to get deep?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna paint this. You're gonna paint this. All right, I'm gonna turn around. Boom. Okay, I love that picture in picture. It just makes me so happy. I'm gonna put my reference to the side. I have the aforementioned in the chat 11 by 14 artboard. I was so flummoxed yesterday, I forgot we had to go buy canvases. So I painted everything in the house like twice. Today's wish is really just a very simple one, again, based on so many of your emails and so many of your inbox messages that I read. And that is that people who have been separated by time, by hurt feelings, by geography, that they are reunited with their biological sisters or their spiritual sisters, whoever the sister is in your life, whether you're related by blood or you're related by heart, that you guys can come back together and bridge whatever those gaps are, and find yourselves totally back where you left off. Now, the colors today are pretty simple, actually, even though we're going to do a lot of complicated stuff with them. We have quinacridone magenta and alizarin crimson. Love these 2 colors. Now, these look a lot alike, but this is actually phthalo blue, and this is ultramarine blue, and we do need both for this painting. So I really like both of those. We got the phthalo green, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, titanium white, zinc white. Now, zinc white is sometimes called mixing white, and there's another transparent white that's out there, even in the craft lines, I think. So there are options to look for those. So titanium white, zinc white, it might be called mixing white, and it's in several different lines of paint. So you should be able to find it at every price point. And then, of course, we have our usual Mars black. I have put to the side, I don't think we'll get into it today, the titanium white fluid paint. You could use white craft paint. What we're looking for is a soft body paint. Here's our little canvas. We're ready to get this in, and I feel like we're going to jump on in, but I'm going to say again, go to the website, to the link, because you're going to want the extra help there, the step-by-step picture walkthrough, the grid, and all of those things. You're going to love them. It's going to really help you guys succeed. I think I'm ready to do this.
Okay.
This is how prepared I was for this one, even though we were late. I even had all the brushes.
Oh yeah.
I'm so proud of myself. So this here is one of my very favorite tools on the planet. I've had one of these in my studio a ridiculous long amount of time. We won't even go into how long. It's a number 12 Silverstone round. And so just it's a nice big bristle round. I love these for sort of loose, expressive little backgrounds, and it's fantastic and perfect for getting this in. To start this off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I get the brush a little bit wet, not too wet. And sometimes I'll even take the extra step of getting the extra moisture out of any of my bristle brushes because they can get waterlogged. I'm going to get my ultramarine blue over to my quinacridone magenta, and they're going to make the most fabulous, amazing purple. Now I'm adding more quinacridone to that purple so that it's more to the red. Do you see how it's more to the red?
Yeah.
And I've worked that into the bristles. I'm going to get my titanium white paint. You can see that it is revealed there. And I'm going to start here, and it's about making this sort of curved stroke. Can you see how the stroke is sort of curved?
Yeah.
If you paint with me for a while, you know I love to do this in my skies. It's like a thing that makes me super happy. And so our first layer, right, that we're going to be doing is getting that basic sense of that in. Maybe I get a little more of the pink in here, a little more of that quinacridone, a little more white. There we go. Just working that up. This is the basis for what we're going to have later. And you don't have to be neat about it. Look how this is just very, see how that's very scumbly?
Yeah.
Scumbly, little bit of scratchiness. It's not about it being perfect at all at this stage. You're getting this sort of underpainting color. Now, as I'm going through, I'll take some of my pink over to my blue.
It's funny to see you when you're scumbling. It's like you're playing peekaboo behind the...
Oh, really?
Because you really get into the scumble.
I like it. The thing is, I'm just getting my pigment on the canvas. And that's what you've got to do. You've just got to get your pigment on the canvas. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be nervous. The top half of this is going to be a little bit more to the blue. The bottom half, a little bit more to the red. That means the color has a little bit more red in it than blue. And the top half has a little bit more blue in it than red. Sometimes paintings seem so serious and constructed, and we forget that they just have charming little friendly beginnings that we can absolutely enjoy ourselves in. A little more quinacridone, come over to the blue. All right. This isn't too hard or too scary. The sky has about 3 layers and one little detail bit of work. But once you learn this sky, it's really going to change how you relate to skies in your other paintings, if that makes sense.
Mm. That's really cool.
I'm feeling very confident because John really, really, really went over the studio today. And you're like, how is she so confident? That's how. Very good. Sweet husband, I'm going to just take this down just a little bit just to make sure that these two ranges of color are well seamed together. So see how I'm dusting that down? That'll help me when I get into the green to get this really worked out. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Now, trick. Whenever, again, I'm going to take this brush, I rinse it out, you're going to see me take the extra water out of my bristle brush. There's another one like this in the Cambridge if you like the mix of synthetic. I just happen to just adore this one. And so that's why it's here. Just any big brush you have, though, will work. Don't ever feel like you have to have a tool to get there. There's always a way. Now I'm just mixing this burnt sienna and my phthalo green. That's all I'm doing. See, I'm just enjoying that right there on my canvas. And when you see me going, get paint, what am I really doing? I'm loading the belly of the brush. I'm not actually struggling to find my color mix. I'm just making sure the belly of my brush is loaded. Now right here, I'm going to very softly on the edge of my bristles. See how softly I'm pressing? It's not very hard. And I kind of wiggle the brush in little circles, these soft little circles. This is going to become the foundation of my distant daisies. I just like wander away on the on the scumble. When the painting takes you away from everything that you're doing, I'm really happy with this painting. I won't even kid you guys. I'm super happy with it. I think it's going to be as good as our Girl in Lavender, if not a better lesson. And for those of you that did the Girl in Lavender, you're going to love how this is put together. You'll learn a lot from it. See, I'm just sort of happily wiggling along. That's not upsetting at all, is it? Just covering that canvas. When you get that first layer of paint on your canvas, it really improves your painting experience because acrylic paint and if you've been painting for a while, you've noticed this, really likes to stick to acrylic paint. Like so much. It's its favorite. Leave two canvases stored facing each other and they're going to merge together to become one painting that you actually can't separate without damaging them. Interestingly
One
enough.
super meta painting.
It becomes one super meta painting. And again, let's just make sure that this edge, see how it's very soft? We're softening this edge. So many ways to soften an edge in a painting, but that's how we're softening this edge. We're going to go ahead and rinse this off. Rinse it off really, really well. Drag off the extra water. Drying that brush, I'm going to put it to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and thoroughly dry this layer with my hairdryer because I want this first layer really bound so I can be very aggressive with my scumbling for the next layer and not pull any of the paint up. If you've ever had that experience where your paint isn't binding and it starts pulling up from the layers and it just feels like it's all coming up, this is something we can do to prevent that.
Cool.
So let's do that. Let's dry it.
So while she's drying, I'm going to say thank you guys for coming and hanging out. You know, we love having you. You guys are a really big crowd here today. So thank you for coming and hanging out. I will give my public service announcement on drying. And that is, make sure you use your hair dryer on the lowest heat setting. That way it doesn't introduce any heat-induced color shift, which you won't like, especially on student-grade paints. It can cause things to darken or the colors to shift a little bit. But if you use the hair dryer on just the air setting, that air setting will just move air across, which actually is what causes the paint to cure. Just the air, and the heat doesn't actually help a whole lot. So don't use the heat, just use the air, and that'll help. Right?
Okay.
Sherpa?
Mm-hmm. What?
I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot.
Questions.
Agree with me.
I totally agree with you.
Okay.
And everything.
Yep.
I'm on your team.
Woohoo!
So when you look at what's happening in the next layer of the painting, there's some interesting order of activities that are going to happen here. We're going to come in and do this sort of like pink, beautiful, dawn little sky that's happening, and then it's going to have this turquoise over it. So we're going to want to put in these pinks and purples. Then we're going to dry that. Then we're going to put in our turquoise, and then we're going to come back and put the next layer of our brighter greens over that. And that's going to keep this edge here very soft. So that's how we get that done, but we're going to keep working our silverstone. Okay, so now I want things to be more to the pink in the center, kind of purple on the edges, and then as we come up here, just like purple again. So let's really load up in our pink. Get a smidge of your ultramarine. It just cools it a bit, right? Into your magenta. I'm going to load up with my white. And here in the center, let's begin thinking about this. Now I'm on the toe of my brush, and I'm going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle around. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle around. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I may have John at some point run out and grab my coffee because I forgot it somewhere. I also hear Twix and a Luna. All right, so you see how I'm just on the little toe of this? I'm working this center area, and I'm just making these very soft little bits. Let's get a little more white into it, a little more pink, a little more white, and let's come right in here. And we're going to just see how soft that pressure is, and I just let things just sort of skip. How I'm doing. I'm all through here because we want this light area right here. This is going to be where we talk about that the sun might be shining through, that there's a little bit of light peeking through this amazing sky. And that's really important in our painting because it implies this sense of hope. Whenever you're doing artwork, even if you're brand new to painting, remember you are a storyteller. And you can tell all kinds of stories, and you have all kinds of tools to tell those stories. And one of those tools is creating light in a painting to generate a sense of hope and optimism. Let's load a little more of our magenta into this. And you can see it's quite pink, isn't it? A little bit of magenta, and we're just going back and forth. We're going to come up to our little green. You can see I push back down into that green. It's amazing how those things will help us layer. Just go on the toe of your little brush, like a little ballerina. See, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Fun stuff. Now, anywhere that I can come in with the edges of this brush, I can soften my lines and really, really diffuse all of that. It's a fun thing that we can do as acrylic painters. Sometimes as acrylic painters, we don't necessarily feel that we have the same softening tools as the other artists out there, the ones painting with watercolor or painting in oils. But actually, we have a lot more tools than we might think. Pulling this in. As I'm going to pull a little more of the pink into my brush and come over and grab some of this ultramarine. Pretty fun stuff. Coming out the outside here, let's pull this in. We do these values because to get the central figures to show, I have to have certain areas of the canvas be light and certain areas of the canvas be dark. And a lot of times it's about building up those layers and those values in a sky, but knowing where the objects are going to be later so that you get the result that you're looking for. Let's come over, see darker purple. I'm really deepening this. Deepening and cooling this. So when I put the light on her skin and I get all that warmth in there, it's really going to help her. Now, whenever you're doing this kind of dry brush scumble, periodically you do need to rinse out, dry off, and start again because the paint will begin to dry on the brush, which can give you some aggravating results. How you doing, babe?
Good.
How are they doing?
I think they're doing great.
I'm going to do the same purple on this side. Do they have any questions? Well, I'm adding the exact same purple on the other side.
We've got an entire palette of Sherpettes.
A whole palette?
A whole palette of Sherpettes.
Wow, palette is a lot.
A lot of Sherpettes here. Let's go over here. There were some questions too. Let me get my camera. It says, where's the next question? Is the canvas pre-gessoed? It says Ceremony.
Yeah, it's actually, at this point in art, it's more challenging to get a canvas that's not gessoed. That actually will cost you more money and usually is only available to you at fine art stores because some artists will want raw linen or they'll want raw canvas and they want to finish it themselves. It will tell you that on the package, adamantly everywhere, and you can tell that it's not treated because it will look like a kind of off-white raw linen. So that's like something just to realize, like, they're really going to try to tell you. Now, the thing that can, I'm getting some more of my dark purple, that can get new artists at the art store is some canvases will say oil only. They won't say oil, acrylic, and art suppliers will tell you that you can use as many materials as won't epically fail on something. It might not be ideal, but it won't fail. And so if a canvas just says oil, don't use acrylic on it. If it says oil and acrylic, you're fine. So I'm just creating that darker outer edge. You can see we've got grab some phthalo, but it's not going to hurt us. The reason I don't use phthalo in this is because there's a green shade in the phthalo blue, and that green with the red in both the magenta and in the ultramarine will gray out. So, a nice dark value here. Isn't that a nice dark value? Loading up. Such good art therapy happening right here. Okay. I'm going to add some of my white to this. Let's come right here and get that second coat on that upward sky, right? Look at us soften these edges like pros. We're like amazing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Soften these edges. Lighter in the center because light will be coming through the center of the canvas. I've got a whole layer of turquoise happening here, so everything that goes on is really essentially fine.
What is the difference between, I'm sorry. I'd like to ask,
what's
the difference between white paint and gesso?
Gesso, good gesso, is a pigment, a polymer, and a marble dust, essentially. A cheap gesso is a mishmash of I don't know what it is, in some chalk stuff, and maybe paint.
But what's the purpose of gesso?
Gesso gives your surface a beginning starting point. So it gives it a tooth. It is somewhat absorbent, so it wants to pull in and hold the paint. So it's about a beginning. It's not a sealant. Doesn't seal your surface. So if something crazy underneath that would leak through, it's still going to come through. but it is a nice way to prep it. I feel, this is my feeling, and you guys know I don't ever try to make you like just buy stuff to buy stuff. But I do feel where it comes to gesso, quality is super important.
Now, is gesso all white?
No. And just right off the bat, I'll say that my favorite gessos come from Holbein first, and then Golden. Holbein has something like 35 colors of gesso and 4 grits. Maybe it's more grits. So many grits. And you could do their gesso is so quality you could do a whole painting with it. It's that quality.
I didn't know gesso was so gritty. I thought it was sans grit, to be honest.
Did you?
I thought it was just smooth marble dust.
Well, marble dust can be very smooth, right? Like there's gesso for portraits. I'm going to pull just a little bit of my pink out. Pink. Now I'm going to grab a smidge. See that smidge of yellow? Let's see what a smidge looks like. It's just, boy, you can just hardly know it's on the brush. We'll pull that into my pink. I'm going to come into my white. You can see it's just warm and gorgeous. We're going to come in the center of the sky. You see that?
Yeah.
On the toe. Yeah, no, it definitely comes in grits. Wiggle your brush back and forth. And what you should be seeing if you have this ideally is that your pink should be warm and it should be bright over the purple and it should pull forward. Every time you do one of these skies, you should almost find a different cloud inside of it.
Is gesso required?
No. Acrylic paint sticks to a lot of stuff, so please don't feel like gesso is required. I'm going to wiggle this up here through here. Just gently and pull forward. And wiggle through here.
There's a lot of questions about gesso now.
I know. Gesso's really interesting stuff. I know this is so dorky. Gesso actually is an interesting subject.
Can you pigment gesso or mix it with paint?
Yes.
Ooh.
You can stain gesso.
Sherpa
so
omnibus.
Why you wouldn't want to make a black gesso? Here's why. Because the white gesso that you buy would have white in it. You would need to get a clear gesso instead of the white gesso if you wanted to add pigment to it and you didn't want it to be impacted by the titanium white that is in the gesso.
Oh, okay. So let's say that one more time. You want to buy black gesso because?
I generally buy black gesso because I can't just take white gesso and tint it with black because all I'm going to get is gray gesso because white and black make gray. I can take black paint and put it into clear gesso and get a black gesso, but honestly, the pigment load from colored gesso from the company is so much higher than anything I'm going to make in my studio. It is much preferable to get their color unless you have a very specific custom color, but always use the clear gesso when you're making it. A little more of the yellow into the pink. Got my white. Just enjoying ourselves, right? Little more. Come in here. Oh, so good.
When you say that the image pulls forward, what do you mean?
So warm colors create the illusion of coming towards us, and cool colors make the illusion of receding. When I'm painting objects, I can use that knowledge to create the illusion that some things are more important, some things are closer to me. They actually have quite a lot of effects that you can get out of that. So I just added some more white, and you can see what I'm doing is loosely kind of lightening the center here. I'll just take this down. So I'm just taking that down. It's very dusty. Oh, it's so fun to do this. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Look at that wiggle. Practice your wiggles. Get a little more of my magenta as I'm coming out. More. Get a nice blend going there, right? There we go.
Rita was asking, how many times do you need to sand and gesso your canvas?
Well, it depends on what you're doing, really honestly. So if you're doing a portrait, generally people do about 3 coats of a fine gesso with a fine grit sandpaper. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're drying those coats adequately between layers. And also make sure that you're wearing a dust mask. Now I'm going to dry this a little bit and put the turquoise on top of it.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Ready. Okay. So while she's going to dry that, I want to say, wow, thank you guys for that's a lot of good questions on gesso. If I'll have some of the moderators here see if we can grab some links off the website. But if you go out to TheArtSherpa.com and check out the video section, you can type in any topic you want, including gesso. And there's a whole bunch of videos out there that have you can find out a lot more information about this and many other subjects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a couple videos.
We have a few, and we'll probably make more. They always need updates, I swear. All right, so now I'm going to make some turquoise. You can get phthalo turquoise just pre-made for you at the art store. I really like to just mix it myself because it's easy for me. Basically, it's 1 part phthalo green to 1 part phthalo blue. So I'm going to load up my brush with some phthalo blue and some phthalo green and just mix it right there on the spot. And I'm going to grab my white. If you feel like it needs to be more green, you just go grab a little more green. That's all it's going to take. I'm going to come here and I'm going to start working this area where the turquoise is over the purple coming down. It is really pretty. If you've not seen this color combo, it's just a delight.
Yeah, that's like
to your eye.
It's pretty, very pretty.
It is. To say. It's really beautiful to bring over the pink, like stunning. And so you can see I dance these little bits down. When you're doing clouds, think about irregular shapes. Think about the way that they dance. If you have a hard time visualizing them in your head, use the reference image, but also maybe go on your phone and download some pictures of some clouds. I know it's quite a background, but it's so worth doing. And you're going to learn a lot from painting this background, like a lot. Just about how your skies and this type of dramatic work can get done. Not the only way, but a pretty darn good way. And I do want it a little bit more solid in here, so I'm going to give myself a more aggressive little... You can see, like, when I want to be aggressive, I can be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Add a little more white. Pull that turquoise out. Just implies a little cloud.
Unusual Sherpa chant.
Was it?
I don't know. I've never heard you chant to be aggressive. I have to say that's a first.
It depends on the day.
Aggressive brushwork by the Sherpa.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it can be intimidating to face a canvas, right? Sometimes it's hard to feel like we have a right to make a little mark and have a little moment. I'll pull this down. Just using the surface of the canvas and, those elements to make this dance. A little more white. Anything towards the center, you definitely want it to be lighter in here where your focal light will be. Use the center of the brush. Look, it's just like little clouds just come out of nowhere, don't they? Those little clouds just find their little space out of nowhere. Little bits of condensation having their day. Oh, I really like that. Rinse out my brush, and now I can put my next layer of green in.
How big is that brush?
This is a number 12 rounds. You can kind of see it in relationship to my hand.
It's kind of big.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite tools. When we go to events, sometimes we have these for sale because it's just one of those ones that I really like. Okay.
What's next?
Now we're going to start putting in our light here in the center, and that's really going to be our green and a little bit of our yellow ochre.
How do you put light in?
Well, we use yellow because if we put white into our green, it just goes mint on us. I'm going to take this right here and think about the two girls that are standing here. Think about the flowers and the daisies, but also think about the messaging that we have going. And if we create a column of light through the girls, we're really implying a lot emotionally, interestingly enough. I'm going to put a little burnt sienna into this, even as I put in my yellow, because I want it to be just a little bit more muted. I want layers of light that are coming through. This is just that first layer. And here we go. Now it gets that deep green that we can build on, doesn't it? Look at that. And you can, again, be quite like, it's been a rough week. Very therapeutic, that. And sometimes we love our tools so much or we invest a lot of money in them, we're afraid to use them. Use those tools. In fact, I encourage you to use them till you break them and then glue them back together and keep using them.
Yes.
Just,
You know,
I've never thrown a brush out. They always have another use.
one of the things that was very interesting to me is I was given this really beautiful notebook,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was at NAMTA a couple years ago, and I always thought I was so impressed by people who used these,
Mm-hmm.
but I had so many of them that were sitting on a shelf, so I committed to fill it up
Did
and
you?
use it. Yeah, and so that's my little red one that is totally tattered and used and red. And
That's what they're for, though.
Yeah.
Buy a beautiful notebook, use a beautiful notebook. Buy a beautiful brush, use a beautiful brush. Buy a great new color paint, use that great new color paint. Don't just collect things in your studio and then go, oh, it's for a special painting. Dude,
Yeah.
they're all special paintings. Get it out, use it, because that's how you're going to learn about that material. You're not going to know about gold gesso until you use a lot of gold gesso. That's just the truth of it. So buy it, love it, use it.
Proof that you've done something is an empty the container.
That's right. I'm going to grab a little more of my ochre. You can see just right into my brush. I'm going to go right here. Just in the center. And you can just see it pops. It doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so lightly pressing. Look how gentle that pressure is. It's just kiss, 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 kiss. And oh, soften those lines. Softening them, soften them, soften them, soften them. Each layer is visible underneath and shining through the subsequent layers on top of it. So don't feel like you're wasting your time. You are truly not wasting your time.
You just broke Kelly.
What?
She said gold gesso. What?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good too. It's really good.
Yeah. Go check
There's
that out.
two companies that make it. Daniel Smith makes a gold gesso and a ground, and Holbein makes a ground. I've used both. I found the Holbein to be much more pigmented and rich and more effective. Though I know artists that if they don't have their Daniel Smith, it's like you took the air out of the room. So it's really kind of up to you about what you're looking for out of a product. Let's light up this center here a little bit more because we're at that stage. So now we get to do the little detail bits, the little fiddly bits. Let's take a little bit of our phthalo turquoise, right, which is our phthalo green and our phthalo blue, and add a little bit of white to it. But this time, let's pop in some yellow and a lot more white. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
Making this sort of warmed up. Look at that. Little center here. And come along some of these clouds and define them a bit. And I'm actually about to change brushes pretty soon here. I think actually. Get into maybe one of my brights. I want to get this in while I'm here. A lot more white. Find and illuminate. There we go. Now I want a little more control. So I'm going to put my beautiful big Silverstone brush down, wiping it off, getting all the paint out of it till I can go take it to the sink and wash it. And I'm going to get my big number 8 Cambridge. So, yeah, I do actually. I do. I feel like a bionic event happens when I have these. So this is bristles and synthetic filaments. It doesn't log too much water with acrylic paint when you're working with it, and I just really enjoy it as a brush. So now I'm going to get a little more going here and a lot more of my white. And this little brush, I just go into the corner, is going to let me be fiddly and really think about what's happening in my sky. Think about your sky. Has it just rained? Is it spring? It's a perfect day. And it's your perfect day, right? Rinsing out. Now come get a little of my quinacridone pulled into the brush. A little bit. I want a lot of white though. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to come in the center and get this center bit lighter, lighter, lighter. Look at that. You see it? Find it. Put your sun in there somewhere. Say, oh, come out, sun.
So you're doing a lot of painting here lately.
I mean, like, you mean how I'm going through canvases?
Yeah.
Or like in this particular painting, I'm like painting.
Well, no. I was just one of the community members had a new community member was asking if you had any paintings for sale, and I was kind of laughing to myself.
I mean, we're gonna have to make a decision here really soon because the house is busting with them. I don't know. I think there's a few thousand, and I'm not exaggerating.
What she meant is that not show paintings. And
I
was like, oh my gosh, do you ever have time? I don't think you've had time to think about
not in a long time. And sometimes when artists hear that, they go, "Oh no!" But actually, I love this work. Like this process where I designed these girls, there were several paintings that went with that. There were sketches. There was a lot of thought about how am I going to break this project down so somebody else can do it with me. See, I'm just wiggling the little edges of this, making this very dancey center. Pushing it up. How do I break this down? How do I help somebody find their way into a painting like this? Because it's a lot, right, to take on, especially for a new painter. And so I really get to do a lot creatively. And for me as an artist, the end result is sort of a byproduct of things. For me, what's really important is the process. It's being in it. It's getting to do the painting. So I don't really get that like stressed about like what I get to paint or not. And with my community, I get to paint everything because they want to paint everything. So anything I'm into, I get to paint everything. So in some sense, I get to paint more stuff than when I'm running a fine art career. Because in a fine art career, they want you to paint like one thing a bunch of times. They call it a collection. So this is like I can just change with my mood. It's really fun.
Noelle was
I'm gonna
like
add
1,000 paintings.
Huh?
Actually, I think you've probably got closer to 3,000 paintings.
It might be.
Yeah, because
I'm taking my quinacridone in my cad yellow. Like a lot, and I'm going to get a bunch of white into that. See how we're doing? And we're going to kind of start talking about this yellow. See the orange there? All right, you keep going, babe. I just wanted to let them know what I was doing.
I was going to say, we've got about between 700 and 800 videos, and most of those videos have 2 to 3 paintings associated with them. So we're safely between 2,000 and 3,000 paintings in the studio right now. And because there's a lot of studies, there's a lot of paintings that never made it to the show.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like I used to always even paint every painting ahead of time because there was a whole period of time I didn't, but I was always painting and trying to do designs, and then a bunch of them didn't make it to the show. That was fun.
Right.
They're everywhere too. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna get a lot of white with my yellow. I'm getting a lot of white, but just that nice yellow. Come here and let's make sure that we're applying. Do you see the little sun coming out in the center of that sky now? Oh, it's so fun. It just takes a little bit of color and then everything happens. And there it is. Just so pretty. What a gorgeous little sky. Do you feel really kind of good about yourself? Because that can be kind of an overwhelming effect for an artist. Now, I haven't done this through the whole thing because we've got these girls here. And this is really actually sort of there's a focus that's happening here. So I don't have to hit everything at this level. I just need to make sure that this is delightful. I'm going to come and get a little of my green and a lot more of my yellow ochre, like a lot more. And I'm going to come right here. I'm going to just go into that. I'm going to get into my zinc now. Zinc is a powerful thing because zinc lightens a color without changing the hue.
Sorry, had to get that camera track down there.
That's all right. A little more of that. There we go. I can always do better. I'm always thinking about what can I do better? What could I make easier? I'm much lighter out here because I don't want as much pigment. I don't want it lightened as much. You understand what I mean? I need a little bit of it to carry through, but I don't want as much. It peeks through the white flowers. So it's like an underlayment. It's just under there working that little space. Fun stuff that I get to do. A little more of the yellow. Working that. Because I know I'm going to kiss this row of bright color through here, through the hands, through everything. These little micro adjustments that will work really well. I think we're kind of perfect at that layer. Hopefully, if you're following along with the step-by-step, you kind of see where we're at. Let me dry this. I'm going to show you how to grid in.
Okay. This button. And that. Oh, yeah. I think that's turning out really pretty. I love those yellows and how that all kind of comes together on there. Looking really pretty. Especially like all that bits in there. So anyway, yeah, I saw somebody guys saying earlier that you didn't know about not using heat on your hairdryer. Oh, so clearly this is one of my banners. Don't use heat. It can cause weird things to happen to your paint, especially student paint. So there she is.
Now I'm going to let it cool down because sometimes if you do chalk or watercolor pencil or any of the safe drawing instruments on your acrylic paint and it's still warm, the softness of the paint will take the chalk pigment into it, and then you can end up with lines that are difficult to remove. But if you allow the painting to cool just a second and get back into what it's supposed to be.
I just told everyone not to use heat. There you went.
No, I messed up.
So
there would be a reason why not to.
Yeah.
Is this right here.
It can make your painting have little issues.
I wasn't paying attention. So. That happens, though. Okay.
But the heat doesn't really help it. It's just the air.
It's most importantly, I mean, yeah. This paint's very temperature sensitive. So this here is my grid. I didn't do a 1-inch block. I didn't do any of that. I actually used my grid to help me know where structural important elements were. I could do a 1-inch grid or a 2-inch grid, but you'll find that when you grid a lot, you'll pick focal areas that help you anchor through and just put those in because there's no point in having a lot of surplus lines that you don't need unless it's necessary. So I did mine from the left to the right, and I did it at key spots. So if I'm going to be vertical, I will come here and I will say at the 2.5 mark, at the 5.5 mark, this is just chalk, at the 8 mark. So 2.5 inches, and I guess that's 6.5 centimeters. 5.5 inches, 14 centimeters. 8 inches, just not quite 20.5 centimeters. You guys with your centimeters, I don't even know.
It's only the scientific unit of it. It's only the scientific unit of measurement.
Sure, I mean it seems like it would be.
So, how long do you think we're going to be going today?
What time are we at? How long have we been going?
We're about 43 minutes in.
I think about an hour and 10. We're gonna try to block in a few things, and that way, when we meet back up, this is gonna give you guys a chance to really process what we've done. It'll really help you stop and play with your sky and slow down for your grid and not feel like you've got to rush through the whole piece. And then I'll put up the finished where I'm at on this layer in the Facebook group. You can even come in with yours and ask some questions before the next class. And I just think this is going to help you guys get the most success. Let me make sure I've got that because it turned into a dot instead of a line. So, all right, line that up. These T-squares, this is in the description below. So you can see I have to, because I'm doing with this little square thing, I've got to scoot it back to get to my line that I'm trying to get to. There we go. Sometimes if you're using a square piece, you'll have to scoot and adjust. Scoot and adjust. There we go. And come here and do this. Don't press too hard because, again, you're not trying to, like, grind pigment into the surface.
Will it hurt it?
It can just make it troubling to clean. It can just make it problematic to remove. It doesn't hurt it, you know. But it can be hard to remove and address. As I think, whenever I do anything mathematical or ruler, like my little brain sort of goes, It wants to be used. There we go. Isn't that nice? So we've got those marks in. 2.5, 5.5, 8. Now, down the side here, and I'll actually have to do it here, we also have some measurements. I'm going to measure from the top down. So 3.5, which looks to be 9 centimeters. All right, and then at the 7-inch mark, we're going to want to make a mark. So 7 inches, that's halfway, right?
Is it halfway?
It's halfway on this canvas. And then again at 9, which is just under 23 centimeters. So 7, which is just under 18 centimeters. 9, which is just under 23 centimeters. Boom, bitty boom. 11, which is 28 centimeters. So hopefully I'm helping our friends over the pond and everywhere else in the entire world which uses centimeters.
Is gridding required?
No.
Will the art police come
if you
and
you can just freehand this sucker onto your canvas, awesome. Awesome. You should be very excited about that. If you want to trace it onto your canvas, that's awesome. But I did get asked on this one several times if I would be demoing how to draw it in. And for something like this with figure drawing and such a complicated piece, especially because their hands join, I can't tell you how long that takes to deal with. It was worth it to grid. And also I can show you a cool way to draw. There's this really cool like little compass tool too that you can you go like this. It's a scaling tool for sculpture and drawing, and it's what the masters used to use, and you can use it to also get exact portraits. But when I do that one, I'm a thinking and not a teaching. My tongue is literally out. You can see smoke coming up out of my ears. But it is a respected and known tool. So there we go. We have this grid, and this grid, interestingly enough, matches this one, doesn't it? And so what you can do then is you can drop your T-square, kick it to the side. You can use this to help you figure out how you want to draw. So I could come here and say, all right, well, our head's going to come like this. Comes over just a little bit. Not too far, does it?
I don't know.
It comes over a little bit farther on this side. Right. Now, right about here, that's where her shoulders are going to come in. That I just have to know where that is because I'm going to want to bring that. And that comes to almost right here. There we go. So pulling that in. At this halfway point, we've got a little bit there of the jacket. Tapering in towards that 9-inch space. And if you're ever trying to figure out where do I get the line, find your line on that space, make that mark, and then join them up. Because what you're doing is you're keeping it from being that big, really troubling drawing process that you would have to do. I'm going to take this line above and come out because that's a hip. You know that you've got this across here. You can check that it's in the same place. And where does this line come up from? Well, right about here. Oh, so we've got, that's what it takes for the little shirt. That's nice. And we know the little shirt is sort of curved underneath there. We've got hair coming down. How do I get that hair in? Well, my hair comes across the shoulder there, doesn't it? And it comes over down through the 9. We know that. And then I've got some hair and just wants to come down the 7 here because I've got a little bit of sleeve that's going to come out from the 9-inch line. And I literally use this method to do the girls in the first place, like when I did the painting for you guys, just to make sure we were going to be in the same space, having that same experience. I'm going to make the little mark that lets me know that there's a little kind of floral event here. I scoop this out. She's got some hair that pulls out, doesn't she? Mm. And then some more hair that pulls out. There's her shoulder. And then this hair wants to come out this way. The arm, actually, we don't even see till the 7 line. There's that. Just peeking out. It's just a small bit of nothing. Bring the hair down. You can even bring the hair here. It does help later when you're drawing it in to even know where the hair is. And then I have this wonderful bit of hair that comes around here that we get to do later. And I really love that little bit of hair. Right? So we've got the jeans come to right about here. And here. And then we're going to bring those down. Kind of curve in, don't they? And this kind of curves in. There we go. Now, interestingly enough, her center line is sort of off from that. So I like to just kind of come here and come across and say, what's actually happening is her leg was kicked back, but we don't see that for the flowers. So there's that. Now let's go get this girl in because we don't even want to deal with the hands until a minute from now. So up here at the top, what do we have? Just up a little bit from the line, we have her head coming down. It comes out just a little bit further on this side, doesn't it? And that's just wonderful. And our little flowers will come across here. Are you guys enjoying this process of getting it in?
Oh yeah, I think so.
See, it's easier to draw a line that's about 1/4 of an inch up and slopes down than it is to sometimes take in the totality of the figures. This is just a method. There's not a right method or wrong method. It's just a method. The more methods that you know, the happier you are going to be. I'm going to make my little line across here for the shoulders.
Brenda?
Sorry, go. Oh. Hi, Brenda.
Okay, there. Ah. So Brenda was saying she was going to do boy-girl.
I love it.
I think that's really clever.
I think it's really clever too. So let's come up here with the sleeve just a little bit. Going to curve in. That slides down, doesn't it? And let's take our shoulder and then our arm. There we go. Take that off. The hair comes forward and it comes back. Now this is going to come down to about this spot right here. And it curves almost a little bit above this line. And it makes this little return down. The jeans, that's very important. Look where those jeans are in that line. They're almost at the halfway point. And then she's got some little jeans that come down a bit here. At this point, the line is right about here. It's in a little bit. Right? And you know that she's got the calf coming back here. You're just really trying to talk about the wrinkles in the jeans. There we go. And make sure we've got that there. This comes almost at that angle. And down. Pretty easy peasy. There's a shirt that comes right here. That goes right like that. She's got a lot of hair. Like a lot. Like a lot. The hands are going to meet almost in this space. The hands we're going to block in very loosely until we're ready to contend with them in a more detailed way. So we're going to get their overall shape, but we're not going to worry about the phalanges yet. If that makes sense. Now I can talk about the hair. Her hair is going to come out to at least here. Wonderful hair is just coming out to at least here. Little curls down to this space. And that's actually the jacket and the hair is what is covering the arm.
If you were going to scale this image up, would you be able to use the same measurements?
No.
So meaning if you used a larger canvas.
I would at that point do the 1-inch grid, and there's math to that, which I don't have off the top of my head, but I would definitely use math then.
So you could change the grid by using math.
You can change the grid. There's a mathematical formula to change the grid.
But we don't. This is an art show, not a math show.
Right. Seriously, I'm not up to helping with that. I'm going to try to find that equation and post it, but it's not my jam, man. I'm like, I'm a 1-inch grid girl, you know?
But we'll see what we can find.
And I just re-grid per image. This is what I do. This is like, because I hate the math so much. I'll take my reference and I just grid it each time. Like, I will enlarge the image to the size that I want to do it and then just grid it.
Now
So,
you can,
like, if I wanted to make this 28, so it was 11 by 14, 22 by 28, I would enlarge the reference to 22 by 28 and then use, like, figure out the same focal points and grid it and then print it out on a small sheet of paper with these little guideline measurements. Is my wackadoo way of doing this.
Is that available? That's available on our website, right?
Mm-hmm. No, this is for you guys for free on the website. This will help you. And the traceable, if you don't want to deal with any of this, is there. And a step-by-step, which is right here. So this is on the website as well, which takes you through each step and even tells you the brush I used in that segment of the painting. Because that's how helpful I am. I like to be helpful. I'm a helpful Sherpa. All right. So we've got her arm coming down at this really crazy angle and her arm coming down at this really crazy angle. And it really is kind of a journey to get it down. So you're going to be, discovering yourself a little bit.
Crazy angle arms.
They are. This is a crazy angle arm.
This is that running kid's arm movement.
Oh, it just, ugh.
Well, they do. Kids, like, when they're connected up, they have, like, extra joints to stay connected to one another.
They really do. I'm going to grab that little shape right there on the arm. That's a sleeve. This comes here and swings across. Back up into that part of the corner. And so what we're going to do after this is we're going to just block in the base values of the figures. And then, actually, we're going to do the white real quick and then block in the base values of the figures.
We're at 57 minutes.
Okay, yeah. We'll get through it. I have a midway point I want us to stop at.
You got it.
Okay. But I don't know because I'm... So arm's going to come right through here. And it's almost down to here is where we're at on the hand. And I just need to know where these meet up, right? And then her arm comes down... I'm not going to get the thumbs. I just need to know the widths and the space of the objects that we're working. So what I do is I look at the square size of this, right? I've got a hand space here and I need to know where they meet. I'll deal with the details of them later. And if ever I need to take away something that I drew, because it's confusing to me, I just get a damp brush and I just erase it. Okay. But the point is just to make sure that you're about in the space where those hands and those things are going to go. Next thing I'm going to do, just real fast, while I'm here, guys, I'm going to get a little bit of my zinkety zinc, and a smidgety smidge, more of a smidge, of my ultramarine. There we go. And I'm going to begin to lay this part of it in. I'm going to wiggle, wiggly wiggle, wiggity
Right.
wiggly wiggle. Wiggity wiggity wiggle.
Oh, you're in the... I couldn't even see that there.
Wiggity wiggity wiggle. So it's ultramarine and zinc. And we're going to just do a soft little process. We're going to take it down to about the knee down here. This is going to give us this sort of soft background. It's starting to talk about the distant white flowers. When we're trying to say, oh, this is going to be distant, this is going to be far away, we want to use very soft, out of focus lines, right? And muted colors, we want to take those colors down and mute them. And that's going to help push them far away. And then you'll notice I added a little bit of blue. What does that do to the white? It cools it a little bit. And you can see you've got little pops of the green that are shining through. I see your green colors shining through. Sorry. Now, the truth is here, I'm going to bring some of this up. I will do the tendrils of her hair as I'm painting. So for me, it's going to be just making sure that I've got little flowers. I layer these things in relationship to each other. I'm using just on the toe, wiggling back and forth, and you just dance the brush around. See how that just goes? It happens real fast when I do it. You can see where the bead is. I can roll the bead down and get it back onto the tip.
I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. So what I do is sometimes I'll scrape the paint off the brush and then get it back onto the tip of it where I wanted it.
I was looking at chat when you did that.
That's okay. You can look at chat. Are they doing good?
David didn't seem really good.
All right. We just want to get this to the halfway point. So the next time we meet, we can really focus on things like the hair, because I know you guys are super excited about the hair and on the flowers and the clothes.
Theo was asking, do you need zinc white?
Yes. Zinc or mixing white.
What happens
if you're a very skilled artist that you really know product and you don't need to ask that question, you don't need it. But if you're like, do I need it? You do need it. Does that make sense?
And why is that with titanium?
Titanium white is so opaque and so tinting and so staining that it changes the hue of a color dramatically, and it is not transparent. So you will have to have a lot of skills, mediums, and modification techniques to try to make your titanium white less tinting and more transparent. If you're great at that, go for it. Because you know me, I'm like, there's no rules in art. But if you're not really that confident in those techniques, definitely run out and get it. Abstract Acrylic has zinc white. I've seen it at the Dollar and Raleigh System 3. Like it comes from economical to expensive. So it's available out there at a variety of price points. I love Goldens. I love Holbeins. I love M. Graham's. I'm like, I think this is, this is M. Graham and Company. It's a Canadian company. Love that company. There's some great products out there. They are a variety of price points between like $11 and $4, and it is worth having in your paint kit. Super worth it.
Is that what kind of brush is that?
This is a number 6 Cambridge Bright.
It's just a bright. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bright. They end up, how filberts happened is what I'm doing right now. Is brushes will wear down with use. And so when you've got that going on and you're letting them wear down with their use, sometimes they'll take on a shape, and that's what's going on there. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get 3 values max, maybe 2 on these figures. That's it. Because I'm just trying to say there's some hair, there's some shadow here. I'm trying to build stuff up. I'm not trying to like paint all the details in. I'm just trying to say stuff is happening here. So, my favorite mix for this girl on this side was the burnt sienna and the ultramarine. Mixing them together, they make essentially almost a chromatic black. It's a very deep color, and I'm going to use that underneath here where the coat is swung out.
Sarah was asking, what do you do if you make a mistake?
Allow the paint to dry and paint over it. There's in acrylic paint, mistakes are really kind of, as long as you can see it and see what you wanted to do and you can let the paint dry. I don't know how many coats of canvas, how many coats of paint a canvas can take. I should probably do that sometime, but it's a lot. So you can change your mind a few times. This one, actually, I had painted the girls all the way through once and didn't like it, so I painted over it again. So there's 2 paintings on that one.
You painted over it?
Yeah, right over it. I didn't like the first one, so I just painted over it. I didn't want to grab a new canvas. I didn't know I was out. I just didn't want to grab a new canvas because I was feeling irked. All right, now I'm going to come up even into where I have hair with my jacket here because I know, right? I know the hair is going to be open and some of the jacket's going to show through. So in this middle spot, I'm definitely going to show some of this dark shadow, and I'm going to come under the hair maybe with some of this dark shadow, like you do. And then I'm going to rinse this out. It's drying on there. If you notice that the paint is drying on your brush, you just rinse it out. I'm going to go ahead and make a dark value here where the legs are over kind of shadowing each other. And then I'm going to make another little sort of dark value right here where there's another shadow down the center of this jean. I'm going to pull out a little more of the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to grab some of the zinc. See how like that just that lightens it but doesn't change the color? That's what zinc's for. Lightens it, but it won't change the color. And I'm going to just paint this next layer over the pink over everything, starting to paint her in. You know, like you do. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I can come in with a little bit of titanium. Whoop, there it is. See, it's very tinting. Look at that.
Ooh,
Totally
yeah.
different. On this side, I'm going to add it to be lighter. Definitely here. Because again, I'm going to be coming in and painting super details in. It doesn't all have to be that detailed at this stage. I just need to know where objects are. I need to know where I'm putting my highlights and where I'm putting my shadows. And so I'm just blocking it in. You just want to get, oh, where do I have my shadows? Where do I have my highlights? What's my light colors? Where are my dark colors? And you can see that in the step-by-step that we did that. Yep. More here. I'm going to add a little bit right here at the waistband. Bit of blue. I just like to play with it a bit. There's a little bit of a punch out here, and then this also has a bit of a kick out. There we go. We'll kick out. That's some nice color.
The little girl on the left is sort of mid-bounce, and the little girl on the right sort of mid-stride.
Yes. It was a really interesting picture, but I really love the animation of the hair. Now, for her skin tone, I'm going to just basically take a little bit of my alizarin crimson, my burnt sienna, a little yellow ochre, right? Because we're getting the underlayment. This isn't really skin tone. This is the skin tone base that we're going to build everything up on, right? Take this through here.
Yeah, we have an entire video on hair color, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Actually, several, I think.
Several videos on hair color if you want to change hair color.
Or even skin tone.
Or skin tone.
We have that out there too.
Yeah.
So you could mix it up. Boy, girl, blonde.
It's your painting.
Brunette, redhead, green hair, purple hair, pink. We don't care.
You can do anything in your painting. Now, the only thing I'm going to do about this is I'm going to make sure that I've got kind of a little paddle for her hand and a little bit for her arm.
What do you mean by paddle?
When I look at the hand, this part looks like a paddle to me. It's a paddle that is narrow here and widens here, and I just try to get that square shape. That's my hand trick.
I see.
We talked about it a lot at the Big Art Quest. We're like, it's paddle time. All right. Basis of her hair. So first thing I definitely want to do is I think I'm going to make a little bit of this here. This is her, the flowers, and I'm going to just very carefully tap in the shadow. I'm going to come back with some green stuff later, but this little blue helps me hold it and also actually help them really pop from their background, so it was worth doing. Kind of a cool thing. Her hair. Let's get a little bit of my burnt sienna and a little bit of my black. We're not going to worry about much here at this stage, except catching some of the bigger shapes that we will be dealing with in the hair. Not going to worry too much about value and make sure that's what I did. Yes, that's what I did. Is that what I did? And not every hair. We will not be painting the little hairs at this stage. We're going to be painting the big outer shape of the hair. Whether you are painting blonde hair, whether you're painting black hair, whether you're painting curly hair, short hair, whatever hair you're painting, first you paint the solid part of the shape before the little hairs come out, the solid part, the flow of it. Then you use value to create the form of the hair, and then you put in little hairs. And that's all it does. Fur, same thing. Everything, same. Same. It's the same to paint a glass of water as it is to paint a stone. But it actually is the same to paint a glass of water as it is to paint a stone.
Oh, philosophical Sherpa.
It's true, though.
Let's take us back to Dagobah.
There is do or not do. There's do or do not do. There is no try. So I'm going to just bring some of this hair down here. I know I've got a little curl that happens here, and there's definitely a little bit of one there. And where I know that the hair is going to be solid, I'll definitely make it solid. Pulling that there over the arm. There. Not that fussy, is it? It's just brown at this stage. Not going to be fussy. We can, we can do stuff like talk about shape. Look how I can stroke this here and then be like, and there's a little blow back and there's some blow. So you can still do some of that, but just realize you're not having to at all in any way deal with anything more than the basic form of the hair. Put some there. Shoot some nice little hair coming up there. If ever you've got to put something back, you can always just go back and make that color, right? So I can always come right here and go, oh no, I don't want any hair right there. Let me go. And trim the arm if I need to. Now, this one, same. The jacket I'm going to do as a little bit of white and black. So I'm going to just do it in a mid-tone gray. Jacket, I'm going to just do it in a mid-tone gray. I'm not going to worry too much about all the little elements. I find it's easier to add paint, so I may sometimes paint inside my lines a little bit, my chalk lines. Because I'm like, well, I can always add a little more shirt to the shirt. A little harder to take it away. This just has to be a similar width to that over there. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo blue and a little bit of my black, making this cool kind of phthalo gray. A little more black. I just want it to feel different than the jacket above it. And then we're going to come here. Under. Much stronger in the white. Again, we are just getting the underpainting of the figures done. It's just really about getting those values in.
How's it going there?
It's almost done. We're almost to a done spot. We're going to stop.
Underpainting.
As soon as her pants and hair are in, we'll take a break on it. And we'll meet back up again on Tuesday to finish it up.
That sounds like a plan.
Right. To finish it up. But this way you guys have a second to digest it, to know what it is. I'll make sure, like, after we're done here today, I put up that second event so you can save that and thumbnail that. If you need a notification, be sure and sign up for our texts. And we'll text you and let you know that we're live.
You can find out how to sign up for text by going to TheArtSherpa.com, and there's some information right there on the landing page where you can just text a message to us, and we'll text you messages back when we go live.
But just then, that's all we tell you.
Just then, we tell you.
We might tell you that a lot because sometimes we go live a lot. But if you needed to know when we were live, that would be how it is to find out. So see how I'm just like, I took that side and kind of trimmed that with the purple because I just wanted it to be a little bit trimmed. All right, jeans. So I've got my blue here. I'm going to take the burnt sienna into my phthalo blue. I will have some black and I'm going to come here.
These are not related to those traveling pants, are they?
No, there's no traveling pants. I mean, the girls are traveling, but there's no traveling pants. Come here, give a little shadow. And then as I'm coming out, we just want to start by shading. It's not perfection. It's about those 3 values. When we do acrylic April, we are going to live in the 3 values. We're all going to come out of that experience so much better. Even me, I imagine. Because I've done this, but I've never had to do it and teach. That's never happened. I imagine I will come out of April like a leviathan of art teaching. Is that okay? Is that a good experience?
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
No, I really think that's true. I think I will be a leviathan.
Sherpa the Kraken.
I will be Sherpa the Kraken of art teaching. Because it's different to teach it than to paint it.
It's true.
I did not know that when I started YouTube. I thought it would be very easy to teach it. I mean, there's nothing. Like, wow, it is hard to teach and paint at the same time. Adding a little highlight here. Just
a lot like running and trying to pilot a drone at the same time.
And then I will show you once we get her all. Oh, I got to get her skin tone on her hand. Her skin tone's a little different. I'm going to take my magenta and a little of my yellow ochre. I'll mix these 2 together. I'm going to get my white. Yay. Base skin tone. There's a lot of shape changing to do here. Like her hand kind of comes forward and I got to show the heel and in the way her hand bends, but we're just trying to get the base shape in. So when their hands are holding, they feel like they could be holding. That's all I'm trying to do.
So how do you keep the paint from drying?
On my palette?
Yeah.
You can mist it. You can have a stay wet palette. You can put a, you know our scent things that do the moisture scents, John?
Mm-hmm.
You can put one of those right there. It'll keep it wet. So
a little humidifier?
It's not really a humidifier because the humidifier changes the humidity in your house. It's like one of those scentsy things.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this black and mix it into my yellow ochre. And I'm going to come here and swing around there and just paint in the base shape of her hair.
Oh, they were just asking about international nomifications.
You got a solution for that finally.
I do. Our crack team of engineers are currently negotiating international gnome rights. So we'll be able to send text messages internationally relatively soon. But that'll require, in order for you to get international text, you'll have to sign up through our website.
Yeah. That's the only change. But again, we don't want to text people that don't want to actually know we're live.
Right.
Because we have no interest in spamming anyone. None. It's so funny. Like Facebook was like, will you send any messages to spam? I'm like, no, I just they're like, give an example of a question. I'm like, that you would send out, a text message that you would send out. And I was like, the next lesson we'll have quinacridone, but you could change the paint for this.
I mean, I don't understand. How can people afford to send out like text notifications to people who don't want them? They're not cheap.
They're really not.
It's like, that's expensive spam.
It just super is. Get the little hair I know I'm going to have up there. Oh, wait, I did it different last time. So what I'm going to do is I put some paint where I didn't want it to be.
Where'd you put it?
I'm going to erase it right here.
Oh.
Yeah. If the paint underneath is dry, oftentimes you can definitely erase. All right, and then the next layer, all it takes. So we'll finish by me showing you how I'm going to clean off the grid. So we're going to meet up. Your work will be to get the painting to this stage. I want you to really focus on loving your sky, right? Really do a sky that you're just super excited to do. I'm putting brushes down on the side with paint on them now. All right, so I'm going to get my clean water, and I'm going to just very carefully remove my grid. I don't want to do it where it's still wet because that would be bad. But that'll let me see kind of the basic shape and what I'll be working on next time. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
How that just comes right off. Clean water is important for this technique.
That's you're just using clean water and a clean brush to remove
the chalk.
The chalk. Just take it right out.
Yeah. It just lets me find a different and more fun way to maybe get like a sketch in or a thought in. People are going to be freaking out when they see these online when you guys do them and you share them, and you're going to be like, you're going to be painting above your weight class for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I just really like I was calling that the other day. We're painting above our weight class today.
Hey, talking about like boxers, fighters, yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't talk about people's weight. That would just be terrible. I mean, like, like for boxing. But you can see we got that like basic in. Now we can make adjustments. We can widen her out. We can thin her down, but we know where everything is. Let me turn it around.
All right.
Okay. So here we are. That's where we're at. Your purpose here is to keep your brush pressure light, right? You want to get really whimsical, soften those lines. Definitely do get the zinc white. It is important. But remember, it doesn't have to be expensive. A lot of companies, a lot of paint companies have it. Get those girls blocked in. We're going to meet Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and finish it. That way we can really take our time, and I can show you really how to do the hairs. And we're not, well, we all know I can paint for 5 hours, but I want you guys to have a minute to digest it and rest and be fresh for the next painting session. Be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.